This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It is a food bank that many people in our city of Winnipeg know and rely on. But today, the Bear Clan's food bank on Selkirk Avenue closed, and it's not clear when it will reopen. CBC's Alana Cole has the story.
It's not uncommon for there to be people lining up at the Bear Clan Food Bank on Selkirk Avenue for groceries. It's estimated that it serves hundreds of people daily. But today, the board of directors announced the temporary closure of the Bear Clan Food Security Program on Selkirk Avenue. The statement says that this was a difficult decision, one they're not taking lightly, and that they're trying to secure necessary funding to resume and sustain operations. Now, CBC spoke with people in the community who use the food bank about the closure.
I come here every day and they didn't say anything about it closing. So when I came up and I seen the sign, and yeah, it shocked me. It's a bummer because they help out a lot.
I depend on this a lot too during the month, and I can see why other people depend on it. I mean, you got families that have already come up here today. Well, we need food, and they're like, "Oh, we're sorry, we can't help you. We want to, but we can't." You know, so.
How many people did you see come up here already?
I saw about 20 or 30 people come up here and look at the sign.
I reached out to the board's interim chair and treasurer to find out more about why it closed. He says the board isn't prepared to make any further comment at this time. He did say an annual general meeting is scheduled for September 6th. And he says the Bear Clan Patrol Inc. gets funding through all three levels of government and donations. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg police have made another big meth bust in the city. This one saw almost $5.5 million worth of that highly addictive drug taken off our streets. Police say these drugs were found after suspicious activity was reported on Waterfront Drive. They say that led them to Point Douglas, where the meth was being trafficked. Officers searched 4 residences and found large quantities of drugs, 2 illegal handguns, and a silencer. Inspector Elton Hall says seizures like this make our streets safer.
You take this off the street, generally our gun violence seems to go down. It's for a variety of reasons. Obviously, the people in this community and this trade are worried about what police are doing, so they'll stop and cool things off. But the benefit of this is, for us in Winnipeg anyways, is gun activity seems to go down.
7 people are now charged with trafficking. Police say one of the suspects is connected to organized crime in Montreal. Winnipeg police are looking for help tonight finding a 12-year-old girl who's been missing from her caregivers since August 6th. Dalia Young lives in the West Alexander neighborhood. She's been spotted in Winnipeg's North End. The last reported sighting was on Sunday. She's 5'1" or 5'2" with a thin build and shoulder-length red-brown hair. She has brown eyes. The last time she was seen, she was wearing a black jacket that has a band logo on it and carrying a backpack with a cartoon design. If you think you have information on her or think you've seen her, her name again is Dalia Young. Please contact police. Across Canada, caribou are dwindling. Yet in northern Manitoba, the Cape Churchill herd appears to be doing well. As CBC's Bartley Kivas reports, researchers want to know why.
These are members of the Cape Churchill caribou herd, which spends its summers in the open tundra of Wapusk National Park. This herd is believed to be stable. For decades, it's numbered around 1,000 to 3,000 animals.
That's pretty unique for most caribou populations, as most caribou populations across Canada are in decline.
Scientists like Russell Turner believe the Cape Churchill herd is doing well because its summer calving grounds are inside the park.
The protection of the core calving ground here in Wapusk National Park could be one of the main reasons for a stable population.
But that's just a hypothesis. Scientists want to know for sure. So Parks Canada, the University of Saskatchewan, and the Manitoba Métis Federation have set up a series of motion-activated wildlife cameras in and around Wapusk.
We have 92 trail cameras deployed on the landscape to try and understand when and where caribou utilize different areas of the park.
Those cameras collected 68,000 images last year, mostly of caribou, but also other species like curious timber wolves. Some of the cameras also get trashed by the apex predators in the park.
A polar bear bit through the motion sensor on our trail camera.
But the main purpose of the cameras is to demonstrate the relationship between habitat protection and population health.
If we're seeing caribou stable with a core calving grounds protected, then maybe that'll be another reason to establish a protected area in a core caribou calving grounds.
This has implications for anywhere in Canada with caribou. Here in Manitoba, the Métis Federation wants to create an Indigenous protected area for caribou southwest of Wapusk.
Right now, their calving areas are protected, so if we're able to protect their core overwintering grounds, that just adds another layer of protection to caribou.
Parks Canada supports this idea. The province would also have to come on board. Bartley Kivas, CBC News in Wapusk National Park.
Via Rail plans to modernize the more than 110-year-old Union Station in downtown Winnipeg. The renovations are part of an $80 million project to revitalize historic train stations. Union Station will get more than $25 million worth of that funding. Via CEO Mario Peguis says it's work being done to make train platforms accessible.
What it means renovating a platform means basically bringing them up to the today's standard to have them more even. If you can imagine a century ago, maybe that wasn't quite as important. So making them more even to increase the accessibility for all the passengers that come through Winnipeg.
Work has already been done to modernize the station elevators and escalators to make them more accessible. The new platform should be complete by the end of the year. A tribute to a monumental figure in Manitoba history now has a design. CBC's Cameron McLean brings us more on plans to build a statue of Chief Peguis on the grounds of the Manitoba Legislature.
So we got Peguis facing east, kind of overlooking the main entrance to the legislature.
Wayne Stranger had a challenge when designing a statue of Chief Peguis.
There was no pictures of Peguis. So what do you do?
What he did is he found a picture of someone else. This is John Henry Longjake Prince, Peguis's grandson. Said to have looked most like the Saulteaux chief who signed the first written treaty in Western Canada with the Selkirk settlers in 1817. Peguis brought 4 other chiefs together to sign the treaty, which gave land along the Red River to settlers.
The picture I had, he was in his 70s, so I had to bring it back to make him look like in his mid-30s. I wanted to portray Peguis in his prime.
Stranger and his team from Peguis First Nation were selected by a jury set up by the Friends of the Peguis-Selkirk Treaty, part of a years-long effort to honor the pivotal figure. This bust of Chief Peguis in Kildonan Park was created in 1923. It's one of the only images we have showing what the chief might have looked like. The new statue will be the first monument to a First Nations leader on the Manitoba legislative grounds. Bill Shedd is co-chair of the Friends of the Peguis-Selkirk Treaty. He says the importance of the treaty has been forgotten, and the monument will serve as a reminder.
The importance of the fact of the Peguis-Selkirk Treaty is the spirit that's there. An agreement to share the land, to live peacefully, and to help one another.
In its position on the lawn of the legislature, the statue will have a prominent place.
To have a First Nation presence, finally something prominent, something easily recognizable, something that carries a prominence that you'll be able to see from the street is probably on my list as one of the most important works I'll be doing to date.
The provincial government has kicked in $500,000 toward the project. A fundraising campaign to raise another $500,000 will begin soon. The final unveiling of the monument is expected to take place in September of next year. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
We are learning more about the tentative agreement between Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries and its unionized Liquor Mart employees. Employees will receive wage increases of about 3% for each of the next 4 years if they accept the deal. Also included are pay scale adjustments, shift premiums, benefit enhancements, and a one-time lump sum payment. MGEU members began voting on this new agreement this afternoon.
I think we were hoping for a fair deal all along, and really this offer is a fair deal. It helps all our members. It doesn't help a certain portion, and that's really what we were looking for, is a deal that all our members could vote on and take out and realize it's fair.
Results of the vote are expected to be released Sunday. Meantime, strike preparations are being discussed by unionized workers at Manitoba Public Insurance who belong to the same union. This after a new deal tabled by the Crown Corporation was turned down this week. A union that bought hundreds of memberships to help Heather Stephenson become Progressive Conservative leader and, of course, Premier 2 years ago, is now backing her biggest rival, the NDP. In Waverley West today, the United Firefighters of Winnipeg was there to show its support as the NDP promised to pay for 40 firefighters to work at the neighborhood fire hall once it's built. Union President Tom Bilius says he's grateful Stephenson expanded the list of cancers that are eligible for work-related compensation, but he says the PCs did not act on any other of the union's requests. NDP leader Wab Canoe says he's grateful for the union's endorsement.
These are heroes who are running towards danger when many of us are trying to find safety, people who put their lives on the line. They're also great community members and people who do a ton of charity work, including my own constituency. So I'm very proud to stand with them today, most of all because we can stand together to deliver better emergency services for people in Southwest Winnipeg.
Waverley West is expected to have a temporary fire hall in place by next year and a permanent fire station by 2025. About 100 teachers were at the legislature today demanding more funding for public education. The teachers wore neon green T-shirts which said, "Vote, public education matters." Manitoba Teachers Society President Nathan Martindale says there's been a steady decline in resources for schools.
The problem is public education in Manitoba has been chronically underfunded for the past 7 years. So that needs to change. Our schools are falling apart, our teachers are burning out, and it's the kids who suffer.
Martindale says he's been meeting with teachers across the province. Some tell him they're ready to quit because of a lack of resources. Meteorologist John Sauter joins us now. You've been tracking some kind of wild weather.
Yeah, some pretty wild weather. Even a tornado warning up on the west side of Lake Manitoba earlier this afternoon around 3 o'clock in the Alonza area. That tornado warning has ended, but we still have severe thunderstorm warnings to show you. Let's start there. Let's start with the warning map. Couple of areas here that are of concern and have been through the day today. So we start up into that area where the tornado warning was, and it was right out over the lake as well. Those storms have since crossed over into the inner lake, and then we have another warning just a little bit farther south, right now just to the east of Highway 3, heading toward Highway 59. So Morris in the bullseye of that storm. Here's a big picture of the satellite and radar. So nice and sunny here in Winnipeg. A little bit of cloud building in, but most of the action is north of Winnipeg or to the southwest of us. I don't believe this stuff here in northern parts of North Dakota will reach Manitoba. I think it's just going to move straight east, but we need to keep an eye on these storms that are up in the Interlake area heading toward Toulon. We've got one that just started to rain now south of Selkirk, so between Selkirk and Winnipeg, but these ones around Toulon right now and Stonewall are serious and possibly dangerous storms. Nickel-sized hail, wind gusts over 90, and some very torrential rains. And then we now have a warning on this new storm here on the west side of Lake Manitoba. That one moving out over the lake. If anyone's out in a boat and they have a cell phone and you can contact them, they need to get ashore right now. You need to stay out of the way of any of these storms. Take cover, certainly. Here's a look at lightning tracking. I guess the other threat here would be lots and lots of lightning as that storm moves across. Should be just south of Gimli and then cross just south of the South Basin of Lake Winnipeg. This next storm had a warning on it around Pilot Mound a short time ago, but you can see it's moving quickly across just about into the Morris area right now. I think that one will miss Winnipeg. Just getting back to this other one to the north, you know, these ones are starting to take a little bit of a turn to the southeast. So we may see some of this through the Winnipeg area on into the evening. I have showers with a risk of some severe thunderstorms in my forecast for Winnipeg. So it'll be either sunny like it is right now or just pouring cats and dogs. It'll be a near miss if it misses us, though. And then as we move through the 8 o'clock hour, we still have scattered storms from the Red River Valley out into the White Shell. There's a look at 11 o'clock. These are now in the Interlake and out into northwestern Ontario. Then as we get into Friday, there is a chance that we will still see the odd shower in the morning, but the afternoon looks nice and clear. And that brings in sunshine, a breezy, cooler day, and drier day humidity-wise on Friday, and then some sunshine on Saturday. I'm calling this mainly sunny for Saturday. So right now we're at 28. Look at the dew point. It's been up around 19 to 20 all day today, and that will continue to be quite humid as we head into the overnight period. 14 tonight, just partly cloudy overnight once the storms roll through. Slight chance of a morning shower. Then your Friday afternoon looks like this, but north winds are at 30 to 40. Check out the north tomorrow. Lots and lots of sunshine, low 20s. The rest of us may see a morning shower and then things clear up, and it will be a cooler day, low to mid 20s in the west. Here in Winnipeg, about 22. Still a chance of a morning shower out in the Lakes region and down in southeast, and a chance of a morning shower, then sunshine and 20 in the Kenora area.
Thanks very much, John.
You bet, Janet.
Well, school may still be on summer break, but that isn't stopping a food program from helping needy students and their families. Volunteers gathered today at the Winnipeg School Division's Summer Hamper program. CBC's Zubina Ahmed brings us the story.
Hundreds of boxes of food are packed and loaded. Dallas Smith just finished grade 12 at R.B. Russell High School.
I love giving back to the community because they gave back to me in sports and whatever I needed. So I just want to give back to them.
It makes me really happy to help the families and make sure they get the food they need.
The Summer Hamper program has two kinds of boxes. One box has perishable items such as dairy products, frozen items, as well as some fresh vegetables, while the other box has non-perishable items such as bakery and canned foods. More than 600 boxes will be sent off to 30 schools in the division. From there, families in need can pick them up.
Half of those boxes were packed a couple of days before with our non-perishable items, but all of the perishable items are packed day of.
The Summer Hamper program relies on donations from foundations, food banks and grocery stores. It helps up to 800 low-income families twice per summer.
Food insecurity is such a pervasive issue here in Winnipeg and in Manitoba. We find that it affects families of all socioeconomic statuses, families from all different cultural backgrounds.
The program started 3 years ago in response to the pandemic to help students who relied on school meal programs.
Since the pandemic started, where families would receive hampers throughout the summer months. And it happens in addition to the weekly food program that the Winnipeg School Division provides for all schools and any families that express a need.
Armstrong says the program will continue since the need is not going away. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Siloam Mission is now selling art made by the people it serves. For years, the downtown Winnipeg shelter has had art therapy as part of its programming for clients. But as it celebrates its 36th birthday, it's announced it's launching a new online gallery for the public to view and purchase the art. Tessa Blakey-Whitecloud at Siloam says this is a way to give people a sense of pride and provide them with an income.
That purchase, you might actually be getting somebody the damage deposit they need for housing, or you might be helping them get ID, or all of those little costs that are a part of that housing journey. So we see so much fantastic art being created that we wanted to make sure that people had an opportunity to be showcased and to see themselves as an artist.
The artists get to keep about 80% of the money if someone buys a piece of the art. The rest will go back into funding the art program and paying for supplies. As you can see, items for sale range from dolls to acrylic paintings to beaded items. The art's available through Siloam's website starting next week. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to turn himself in to authorities at a jailhouse in Georgia tonight. He's facing criminal charges there related to alleged efforts to overturn his 2020 election defeat. More after the break.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
This just in, former U.S. President Donald Trump has just arrived in Atlanta, Georgia. Trump is there to turn himself in. He faces 13 criminal counts, including violating the state's anti-racketeering laws. Some of his 18 co-defendants have already been booked, had their mug shots taken, including former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Trump has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. The former U.S. president has been indicted in 4 separate criminal cases now. This all has to do with alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election outcome. Officials in BC say there has been significant progress made in the battle against wildfires threatening communities in the province's interior. Up to 7 millimeters of rainfall yesterday helped firefighters battling blazes that have been threatening communities around Lake Okanagan. That's allowed some evacuation orders to be rescinded. The McDougall Creek fire is still out of control, however. It covers roughly 123 square kilometers. The latest numbers say 181 properties have been destroyed or damaged by the wildfires. Central Okanagan Emergency Operations has set up a website that allows people to search addresses and find out if those properties are okay. Russian President Vladimir Putin has offered his condolences to the family of mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. The leader of the infamous Wagner Group reportedly died in a plane crash north of Moscow yesterday.
Он был талантливый человек, талантливый бизнесмен.
In a televised address, Putin offered modest praise for Prigozhin, calling him a talented businessman. Putin also called him a man with a complicated fate who had made serious mistakes in his life. Prigozhin had been a key ally to Putin until 2 months ago, when he staged a mutiny against Russia's military leadership. Putin's remarks are the first official confirmation of Prigozhin's death. Still ahead, meteorologist John Sauter and his 7-day forecast. Stay with us.
Severe thunderstorm warnings changing quickly, now including the city of Winnipeg. These storms in the Interlake have swung a little farther to the south. The north end of the city now seeing heavy rain, lots of lightning, and we now have a new warning just south of Ericsdale of that storm coming off the lake. So these storms will continue tonight. Tomorrow we have a morning shower or a chance, then some clearing, a sunny Saturday at 24 degrees. More showers possible Sunday afternoon. Next week looks a lot quieter with seasonal temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday. And plenty of sunshine. Wildfire evacuations have people in BC worried about their homes and in some cases, their pets.
The story of one super pig from West Kelowna is tonight's Daily Lift. Meet Pumbaa the pig, or Miss Pumbaa. Pumbaa's owners tried to load her onto a vehicle for evacuation last week, but she was too stubborn, so they had to flee without her. Days later, Pumbaa was spotted alive by a helicopter pilot who dropped her granola bars. Firefighters have been feeding her water and apples ever since, as she crawls around on the last few patches of grass. No word yet when her parents, her owners, might get back to see her, but it's good to know she's okay.
You know, maybe they're watching and they saw that and they're happy.
Big claps of thunder I'm hearing downtown.
Yeah, North Winnipeg.
Good night.
Good night.